Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode number, I have no idea, of the Nobody Asked for This podcast. I've ventured back into I have no idea land for a while. You know, obviously when you start, it's like, oh, this is episode 1, how exciting. This is, episode 2, this is 3, and it was so, just so in order. And then somewhere along the way, probably around 40, I lost it. I lost it at 40. And then at around 80 something, maybe 88, I found it again. Because then we were counting down to 100. And now we're far enough away from 100 that I just have no idea. So. And you know what? I talk about this every day. Not every day. Can you imagine? Every day. What a nightmare. I talk about this every episode. About what episode we're on, how I don't know we're on. It almost as if it doesn't matter. It doesn't. But anyway, I'm coming to you live from the old beanbag chair. I do believe I'm in the exact same... are we calling them pajamas? Okay. I saw a meme earlier this week and it was like, do you have pajama? Is it a meme? I don't know. I saw something on the internet and it was like, I can't remember where it was from, but it was saying like, do you have pajamas or just clothes? I think I'm clothes. Like I have clothes that I wear as pajamas. So I think I'm wearing the same pajama clothes, but they are not from the pajama aisle. Now that could be interpreted as fancy. It could be, because it's like, oh, I'm so fancy, funcy. I can't wear pajamas. I need to wear, like, regular clothes to bed. But really, I just duct taped a picture of a pumpkin to my phone case in the spirit of Halloween. So, like, how fancy am I? Also, I'll just let you in on a little secret. My pajama clothes that are very fancy are a hoodie from New Orleans from the year 2016. And some sweatpants. They're like a thinner sweatpants. They're almost as if they are a pajama. Like they are one plaid stripe away from being full pajamas. I don't know who decided that plaid was going to be the indication of whether or not something was pajamas. But I don't know, I kind of like it. I'm sitting here and there's a lot going on. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I definitely didn't drink enough water today. I've had a up and down relationship with water. I probably neglected it a little bit too much the past all the years of my life. But then something happened close, probably like 4, I don't know time, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, yesterday, last week, not sure. I'm sure I talked about it at the time, but I got gifted one of those trendy water bottles, which now that I'm thinking about it, I really should have put the pumpkin sticker on the water bottle. No regrets. And it wasn't a sticker, it was a picture that I had to duct tape. Not duct tape. What's the clear tape called? Masking tape. But then, in all honesty, I took the picture of the pumpkin. It's like this little, it looks like a sticker, but it's a picture. And I duct tape, and I keep saying duct tape because it sounds fancier, but I masking taped. That's not as fun of a verb. I masking taped, like just the front of it, so you could fully see this strip of tape. And I don't know, I just felt like ever since your phone can say a lot about you. Like, I think if you look at someone's phone, not even like, let alone like going inside their phone and like seeing like what's really happening, but like just looking at the outside presentation of someone's phone can really tell them a lot about you. And ever since I have fixed the crack in my phone, remember I've talked about this before, but I had a huge crack with like a huge green line coming down the center of my phone that I fixed a couple months ago. Again, I don't know time. July, probably around the same time that I got the water bottle. It all happened. It was a big month. But ever since I fixed that, I feel like my phone isn't a fair representation of me. It's a little bit too put together. So I really had to add this pumpkin picture with the masking tape I finally said it right, masking tape, so that it really, it paints the correct picture. So anyway, a couple different things going on. I'm definitely dehydrated. I am simultaneously craving 3 beverages and have found the will to procure none of them. I'll just take some water, some good old-fashioned water. Now, the problem is the water is upstairs, and I'm not. I'm in my fancy podcast studio basement recording beanbag chair. So, also, second issue with this is like I'm not gonna stop. I've started. I'm not gonna stop now. So I'm at least going to be thirsty for the next, give or take, 30 minutes, maybe 40. Also, I just had like a huge bowl of chicken soup and a delicious sandwich, might I add. I love sandwiches, and if I let myself go down this rabbit hole, which we will one day, we will go down the sandwich rabbit hole if we have not already. But I had a delicious sandwich on a bagel. It was really simple. I'll tell you what it was, even though I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'll just do it quickly. I made a weird choice. I had some pumpkin bagels left over, speaking of pumpkin. So I did that. I started with that because I like a bagel sandwich. I like a bagel with cream cheese, but I like a bagel sandwich. So I did that. I did some mustard, like hot sauce pickle situation. I don't actually know. I think it was mustard and pickle flavored hot sauce. It wasn't the consistency of mustard. It was more the consistency of hot sauce. Like, it was the consistency of when you get mustard and those like first little drips come out and it's like the worst thing that ever happened to you. It's like that, but it's supposed to be that. And it's allegedly spicy. I'm having this whole thing with my taste buds. I've talked about it in the last couple episodes. I'm not gonna bore you. I'm not gonna go on a tangent of the tangent. But I'm not really tasting much these days. Anyway, so I had that. I had the bagel, the hot sauce. I put a few slices of chicken, which apparently, and I splurged. I got like the organic kind in the package at the grocery store, because it was on sale. Now, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same thing as the non-organic kind that they sell in the package right next to it, but for some reason this one was cheaper, so I went with that. So I don't know that it even said it didn't have nitrates in it or anything, which I don't know what a nitrate is. I didn't take chemistry past like grade 9, so I probably was sick that day when they explained it. It sounds sciencey, but I had a couple slices of probably nitrate-filled chicken. And then I did banana peppers, like a whole hunk. I just grabbed, those claw machines? Luckily, the jar of banana pickles that I have has a wide enough opening that like I can just shove my hand in it like it's a claw machine, and no one else is eating out of the banana peppers, so I'm good to just go for it. Claw machine, like I'm trying to get a stuffed animal at Chuck E. Cheese, and just dumped a pile of banana peppers. And then I did probably 5 pickles that were like a thicker cut. They're a sweet and spicy pickle. I taste neither option, but I like the crunch and like the vinegar, even though there's a lot of vinegar in the banana peppers, which is, I'm starting to understand, probably adding on to the level of thirst that I'm having. Along, obviously, with, did I say I had chicken noodle soup? I had chicken noodle soup, which is a lot of sodium, apparently. I'm a nutritionist today. We all do our best. What else did I put on that sandwich? Oh, I put a little bit, I like hummus. I like hummus on a sandwich. But I more so like it, like I put a little bit so that it wasn't just like dry bagel, but then I more so like it as a dip. And then I've talked about before how I like just like dunking breads in some sort of liquid. So like if I'm having a donut, I'm dipping it in coffee. If I'm having a cinnamon bun, I'm dipping it in coffee. Even though a cinnamon bun is more like ideal for dipping, is more of like a dry, like the drier the better. Like a panettone, that like really dry Italian, I guess it's a cake, dessert that people sell at Christmas that I feel like most people don't like, but I love. And we've talked about fruitcake, but the drier it is, the better it tastes dunking, but like I'll dunk it no matter what. I'll dunk a cannoli. I don't care. I'll take a scoop of pudding and dunk that in a coffee. It'll melt and get everywhere, because then what you kind of get is like, you get the initial hit of whatever you're eating, but then you get, as you're sipping your coffee, you get like the little crumbs. Like if you dip a cinnamon roll in your coffee, you're gonna get some like cinnamon sugar infusation, and people pay for that. Anyway, what else was on this sandwich? I think that was it. I had my hummus to dunk. I had obviously my chicken noodle soup to dunk. There's a lot of dunking happening. Oh, I put like salt and pepper, obviously, on the top. And then, I forgot I did this. In between the slices of chicken, because I feel like sometimes when it's just like a mound of chicken, it gets like weird. So I would do like a layer of chicken, and then I did some... So do you know how you can buy sriracha, and then you can buy, like, it's in the smaller jar, like the jar, the smaller jar, like the short jar, and it essentially looks like sriracha, but isn't as liquidy. I did a couple layers of that, almost like I was making like chicken parm for some reason, because it felt right. So I did that. So there were some sauces happening, there was some dunking, it was great. I know I said I wasn't... Oh, and I obviously toasted the bagel. Although if it's a good bagel, you don't have to toast it. But the bagel I was eating had been frozen for like 3 weeks beforehand. So I thought, we'll give it a toast. Because if not, I would have been like gnawing on a frozen bagel, which is not something I haven't done before, but is something I wouldn't recommend, especially for a sandwich. So anyway, I would like a glass of water. I also have a case of let me get this right, because I get these two things confused. It is Coca-Cola that is flavored like Oreos, so the Oreo flavored Coke. I get it mixed up with the Coke flavored Oreos, but I'm in fact, to quench my thirst, with like the Oreo flavored Coke that is in my car. Now, as much as I'm far away from my water bottle, I'm even further away from my car. So, and I feel like I sound like I'm talking about like my car, like I'm in the 11th grade. I just got a car, and I'm like, do you know how anyone, like the first month that you had a car, you just walked around with your keys in high school for no reason? Like you got like the big lanyard that you didn't need, or like a big like fluffy something like to put on your keychain, and you just had like your keys were on you at all times. Maybe like in your pocket with a lanyard sticking out, but like sometimes just either on your desk or like literally on your homework assignment, like you needed people to know you had a car. That's how I felt like I was saying, it's my car. Oh, I got to get up in my car. Or like that person, they were the best because they were always offering to drive you places, but seemingly to be like, I have a car. It's like, oh, did you need? Oh, you forgot. Ugh. I forgot my lunch, and you forgot your lunch. Ugh, we might just have to get into my car and go to McDonald's. You know, it's like that. I don't know. I felt like I was emulating that. Okay, what else? Oh, the third thing I would like some sort of like a hot beverage. So we got water for hydration, Coke for bubbles, and a hot beverage. So either like a decaf coffee because it's like pretty late at night, or we go gingerbread tea. Now my only problem with tea is it tastes a little bit too watery. And as we've mentioned, I don't love the taste of water. I've fully sucked it up because like I'm not going to be okay. No, I don't not like the taste of water. It's just water does not have a taste. Although again, I've been having problems with taste, so maybe it does. I was attacked by a lasagna noodle, and I'm ready to speak my truth. On my lip, I have something, and this connects. It looks like I have a cold sore, and I don't have a cold sore. What happened is I was making a very delicious, not to brag, lasagna soup, which really by the time all of the noodles like did what I guess they were supposed to do, they did what noodles do. It really sucked up all the juice, so it really was just like saucy lasagna, which I loved. It was good. But I went to taste it to see, like, because the noodles were like low-key taking a long time. It excuse me. It said, like, normally you just like boil noodles for what, like 5 minutes, or not 5, like 10 minutes maybe, depending on what it is. And the noodles that I bought said that they were like ready for the oven. So I was like, okay, perfect. This is literally going to be like 3 minutes because you're already going to be soft or whatever. Not the case. They took like 15. Totally fine. But they really like absorbed a lot of the liquid. So it was just like, I actually liked it. And I was going to add more chicken stock, and then I realized, I like it like this. Cooking is wild. You really, like, you can be following a recipe, but like there's no one there to tell you that you can't just do whatever. Other than, like, if you're cooking it for your friends, they're going to tell you that it sucks. But, like, yes, you could be following step-by-step Rachel Ray directions, but, like, Rachel is not there to yell at you when you get it wrong. Also, if anyone has seen a video of Rachel Ray, like, anytime, if sometimes you're at a job and they'll be like, I'm fully understanding, like I'm bouncing around to 19 different topics, and I will try and wrap it all up. Because the bottom line is I'm still thirsty, but we're just going to ride the wave, okay? I can't stop it. I've tried and I can't. But you know how sometimes you'll be in a job or like at school, they would be like, here's your opportunity to like teach me how to like guide you. Like they'll say either like, not in the interview, but if you have like a quarterly checkup or whatever, they'll be like, how do you best learn? Like, is there anything you can tell me being like your supervisor, about like how you learn and like how I can best support you? I usually during that point will submit a video of Rachel Ray, like old school Rachel Ray episodes where she is like kind of like not angry at all, but is like kind of screaming at you. And I'm like, this is how I learn. Like just with a little bit of like suspense, not anger, suspense. That's how I best learn. So her videos and her recipes have always worked out for me. But like, what I've realized lately is, and I'm not saying I know better than Rach, I don't. But like, I could do whatever. If Rachel said to add 8 cups of cornstarch or chicken stock or whatever, like I could add 7 and she would never know. It really is personal preference. And that's what I want to share with the world today. And also just want to send positive energy to Rachel Ray. Does she still have a show? I haven't obviously been in school for a while, so I haven't been homesick in a while enough to know like what the daytime TV landscape is, because that's really like that's what you would watch. Like I would be homesick, sick, aka I had a test that day that I didn't study for. But I'd be watching Ellen, I'd be watching, Maury Povich, obviously Dr. Phil. We talked about Dr. Phil. Did his show ever come back? I know we don't normally talk about current events, but I did a whole, not a recap, but a whole breakdown. Not like mental breakdown, but like a whole, like, I guess recap was close, overview of Dr. Phil ending when he announced that he was ending. I want to say sometime in 2023. And then he said he was coming back, but I don't know that he ever did. I'm going to Google this really quickly. His show was nuts, and if we're being honest, like, I'm sure, I'd like to think that he meant well, but, like, I don't really know how, like, airing out people's problems on the television is, like, helping them. You know what I mean? I just have questions. Maybe it being on TV gets him the connections to, like, send the people on his show, like, to the proper help. Because it's a lot of, like, oh, I'm going to show everyone, that watches my show your issues for 45 minutes, and then I'm going to send you to, like, a real doctor at the end. So it's like, well, why can't we just go straight to the real doctor? Not that he's not a real doctor. I'm sure he is. I had a teacher one time tell me that he had a degree, that like he was a doctor, but he was like a doctor of like geometry or something, but then was using the term Dr. Phil. So I don't know. Okay. It's very hard to talk and Google, does Dr. Phil have a new show at the same time? So he has a new show called Dr. Phil Primetime that he records in Texas that is on some random network that he founded that I've never heard of. That started in April. Okay, there's a lot here. I have to like do research before I make a statement, but yeah. I hope Rachel Ray's having a nice day. I really do. I think about her every once in a while. And thank you for the delicious lasagna soup recipe. And like, sorry I didn't listen to you fully, but like I think she'd be proud of me. Like she really taught me how to cook, you know? So if I'm just like off on my own, there's probably a little bit of pride. Anyway, I'm getting thirstier. I feel like the chicken soup, banana pepper, pickle situation is like, I'm like turning, do you know when SpongeBob like loses all his water? That's what I'm starting to feel like. And I already was like not having a great day for no other reason than, do you know when you just wake up and you're like, this is not the one, like this is not going to be good. Oh, I did sit, not to brag, I did sit in traffic for like 4 hours today, like combined, like 2 hours and then 2 hours. So that's what I'm up against. What I'm also up against is, for some reason, I've found that this year, speaking of pumpkins, I have the worst, what I like to call forgotten spirit of Halloween syndrome, or FSHS. I had to really, really try hard to figure out that acronym. Forgotten spirit of Halloween syndrome is when it's a really big medical theorem where you forget for 11 months of the year that spirit of Halloween even exists. So like truly November 1st to September 30, is there a September 31st? I don't think so. To September 30th, we're wiped clean, full severance, like I have no idea that spirit of Halloween is a thing. And then October 1st, they pop up. And then the second tier of FSHS is, I can never remember what the hell the buildings that were overtaken by Spirit of Halloweens were before they were Spirit of Halloweens. Now, where these two pieces of FSHS, there we go, where these two pieces come together is the reason you don't ever remember what was in there before is because once they leave, like once November 1st comes around, that building's just back to normal and you completely forget that that Spirit of Halloween is a thing. So these two, they seem like A and a B. It's really part 1 and 2. They're hand in hand. They're tandem. They're in tandem with each other. Because I've driven past like 4 in the last week, and I'm staring at the building and I go, I know I've been in there. I can't remember what it was, because they take up like significant spots. And I know like what they've done before is like they'll take over. Do you know, I feel like department stores are like not doing well. And every mall was based on the idea of like the 4 big department stores and then like smaller stores. But then when one of these 4 big department stores close, it just leaves like a gaping hole in malls. So where I am, all the Targets closed. So for a few years, I want to say, while they were figuring out like what happens with the huge Targets, like just like voids in malls, like fine, let's make those Spirit of Halloweens. That makes sense. Like the building's not really being used. Spirit of Halloween, like it doesn't seem like the most intricate setup. Like it's just like racks of costumes. Like, okay, I get it. But the few that I've passed lately, I'm like, I don't remember what you were. And then like, it's not empty buildings. Like those buildings used to be something, and it can't just all be like bankrupt businesses, because like It's not just going to sit there for 11 months of the year. Like, real estate is expensive. But then I'm also like, is Dollarama like, okay, fine, we'll take a backseat for a month, Spirit of Halloween. And then, like, is it like a bigger conglomerate that, like, we'll just turn a Marshall's into a Spirit of Halloween for a month and then go back to a Marshall's? And then, this is what really gets me. If you're a manager of Spirit of Halloween, what is your job, again, from the dates of November 1st? Well, you probably have to do some cleanup. So, like, November 15th and then with setup, like, September 1st. Like, what? That's always confused me. To the point where, like, I want to just put on my resume, like, if I ever find myself applying for a job in March, I'm going to be like, I was the CEO of Spirit of Halloween. Try and verify that, because the offices don't open until, like, August. At which point I would have either had this job or not. I'm going to Google that. And I'm sure if I went back to, this time last year, I did Google that. Spirit of Halloween manager. Are there even managers, or is it just like lawless land? Oh, they're hiring. Store management, assistant store manager. These jobs were posted 9 days ago. It's almost Halloween. Okay, you know what? We have one more weekend before Halloween. I'm going to make the most of it. And I know I'm always talking about, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I did make lasagna soup, which I said I was going to do last week. I don't think I said it on the podcast, but I said it to myself. I said, I'm going to make lasagna soup. And I actually did make that. Now, there was a little bit of turmoil with that scenario because I was walking around my neighborhood, just wanted to go for, like, my daily walk. Oh, by the way, I just remembered I didn't finish the story about the cold sore. So I don't have a cold sore, but I do have what looks to be a cold sore, because as I was testing to see if the noodles were done, I guess, like, picked up, because it was lasagna noodles, so they're quite, like, obviously long. I think I picked it up and it, like, flipped back in my face, and it was so hot that it, like, burnt a part of my bottom lip. So there's that, and it looks like a cold sore. It's, like, not the best story ever. But what is the best story ever is I was walking around to my neighborhood because I was trying to just, get my steps in, get that 10K a day, which I'm, like, pretty sure is just, like, a made up number, but sure, okay, fine, 10,000, whatever you say, big Fitbit. And then I got probably, like, 15 minutes away from my house. Then I was like, oh, I guess I could just, like, walk to the store. And I didn't really realize how far away, like, the store I was thinking of was. I didn't put that together until, like, another 20 minutes. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, so, like, I'm almost 40 minutes from home. But I'm only, like, another 10, 15 away from this store. So, like, I'm not going to turn around now. So then I'm in the store, and then in my head, I'm like, I made it. I made it to the store. This whole walking nonsense is done. Let me buy, my ingredients for my soup, which is canned tomatoes, a bunch of chicken stock, and, like, a couple other things. Again, in my head, this walking journey for me is done. Like, I swear I did not realize that walking still had to continue. So I get out of the store and I almost start looking for my car, and then I realize, like, oh no, I walked here. And then I look at my bag that I'm holding, and thank goodness I splurged and I bought one of the reusable bags, but I have, like, cans of tomato and chicken stock that I now have to walk almost an hour back to my house. So my legs are sore, my arms are sore. It was really cold, so along the way I did stop and go on Amazon, which I know we're trying not to do, but I did. I apologize. And I did buy gloves. I typed in walking gloves because I wanted to be fancy. And then while I was on there, I almost bought an air fryer, but I didn't. I've almost bought an air fryer like 7 times in the last 4 days. And I'm kind of proud of myself that I didn't, to the point where I've like maybe bought like a couple extra things throughout the week. Like I've bought a couple extra coffees because I'm like, well, I almost spent $90 and didn't. So like now I have a free $90, which is not how it's supposed to work at all. But it's just kind of how my brain worked in that moment. Yeah, what else? What other stories did I start that I didn't close the loop on? I had a sandwich. I'm thirsty. The talking is only making me thirstier. I think I'm going to go for the water of the 3 beverages. I don't need a coffee. It's too late. It's too cold to go out and get my Diet Coke, although it would be like a crisp Diet Coke at this point. Ugh, should I do it? I'm trying to think, like, do I have a sparkling water somewhere? Like, sometimes I'll bring, like, an extra sparkling water up to my room and then forget about it. I don't think I do. That's too bad. Anyway, I think I closed the loop on everything. I talked about the lasagna noodle cold sore. Talked about my walking. Spirit of Halloween. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to go to a Spirit of Halloween. I'm just going to like pop in, pop out, see what's up. I also really want to go to the pumpkin patch. But not like, again, because I feel like I would be going alone because it's just too late to plan something. So I'm not going to a pumpkin patch. I'm going to go to like a patch of pumpkins. I feel like that's less sad. Like I'm going to go to the pumpkin store. I'm going to go to the grocery store out front where they have the bin of pumpkins. Which, like, what is the business model behind that? Like people are just going to take it. No? And like, you know, I'm not going to snitch on anybody. I'm not personally going to steal, but like, I'm not going to tell on you if you do. But like, when they have that stuff outside, like, especially at the produce store, like, what is stopping someone from just getting a tomato? I'm just asking the question. I don't know. But yeah, I hope everyone is having a great October. I am going this in a couple days, not to brag, I am doing one more Trader Joe's run to really get those last kind of fall items. Even though it still is fall after Halloween, it just doesn't feel like it. Like we move on. I personally move on pretty quickly to like holiday season, holiday music. So, but I'm going to do one more fall shop of crap I don't need. Because I have an extra $90 to spare. So looking forward to that. I hope everyone has a great week. If you like what you heard, you can go to podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. I think that's the login. Remember that time I was saying the wrong URL for 50 episodes, somewhere in the middle of this production? I want to say from episode 50 to like close to 100. I was saying it wrong. I can't remember which way I was saying it. I'm not going to think about it because then I'll start mixing it up again. But I do blame that for the reason I am not at like Ryan Seacrest levels of listeners. So just so we're all on the same page. But yes, on our website, podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com, you can listen to all of the episodes. You can find links to our Apple, Spotify. Apparently, there's such a thing called the Samsung podcast. Sure. I encourage everybody to masking tape pumpkins on their phone cases if that is the vibe you're trying to go for. I'm going to go watch a scary movie. Even though, to be honest, and I'll talk about this next week, I'll maybe do a roundup of the scary movies that next week it's a Halloween extravaganza. The next episode will come out on Halloween. How exciting. I'm going to do a roundup of all of the scary movies I've watched in the last couple weeks because I've been a lot better at watching movies. Because for a while, like, just mentally, like, I couldn't sit down and watch a 2-hour movie. I'm getting better. Isn't it sad that, like, better for me is, like, I can watch a movie. Like, that's, like, I didn't just sit on my phone for 2 hours. I watched a film. How productive of me. What is this world coming to? But yeah, I'll do that. I'll do maybe like a candy corn. I'll eat some candy corn live on the air, to put it dramatically. But yeah, I'll broadcast live for my Halloween costume. It's gonna be great. I hope you all have a great week. Is it Halloween weekend? I guess not really. Is Halloween weekend going to be this upcoming weekend or the weekend after Halloween? I'm gonna do a survey. Anyway, stay blessed. Goodbye.